Welcome, everyone, to the Lady Trucking CEO podcast. I would like to welcome Dr. Cassandra Bradford to the show today. We are so grateful and so happy to have you with us. Dr. Cassandra, can you please introduce yourself to the audience and let us know who you are and what you're doing?
Hello, everybody. I am Dr. Cassandra Bradford. I hail from Dallas, Texas, and I am with a company named Genesis Preferred Solutions. We help small businesses get started. We help you become certified minority-owned, woman-owned, veteran-owned, disadvantaged business, and with those platforms, help you to gain access to contracting opportunities.
Okay, that's awesome. So can you tell us a little bit, really quick, why is it important for people to get certified as a woman-owned, minority-owned, or veteran-owned business?
So the program has been around since 1970s. It was enacted into law by President Reagan. And it initially started when our troops came back from like Vietnam, and they came back from war and they couldn't get jobs and they were starting their own businesses, but they couldn't get access to opportunities. Well, the government put into law that those small businesses who are certified, you just can't wake up and say, hey, I'm a woman-owned business, so I should gain access. You know, the government. So you have to become certified under that state certification program. Even though it's a federal program, every state has basically similar rules to what the federal government says. And so you have to get certified, and then it puts you in a pool or puts you in a position where now you can bid on those contracts. The government buys everything. There is nothing that you're selling that the government is not buying. They buy ice, they buy tow separators, they buy accounting services, they buy teaching services, IT, construction, trucking. They buy everything. There is nothing that you're selling that the government is not buying. And it's not just the government. Camille, you have Fortune 500 companies that also participate because they get a kickback on the back end on their taxes by the federal government for participating in the program. So they're looking for people like you and me.
I see. Okay. So basically, in order to do business with the government, we first have to become certified with, like, in their system, basically.
Yes, you have to become certified. So let's say that you lived in Georgia. It all depends on what part of Georgia, because they have different certifying agencies there. And so we have to get you certified, whether it's disadvantaged business. All of our truckers need to be certified disadvantaged. Minority owned, a woman owned, if you're a veteran, that's done through your VA office. Right. And so you have to become certified. There are like 28 documents that you have to submit with your application. And so you want to get certified, because after you get certified, now any contract that's available, it'll tell you, it's called a set aside. Who can bid on this contract first? So it may say a certified minority owner or certified woman owned business must, can bid. Now, if we don't bid, then they're given to white males. That's statistics. So a lot of times I'll win a contract just because I showed up. So a lot of times, it all depends on the category. Sometimes it's not that difficult. You just need to show up to a pre-bid meeting.
Wow. Okay. Before we get too ahead of ourselves, let's go a little bit back into your backstory. Tell us a little bit about Dr. Cassandra Bradford. Tell me a little bit about, let's see how far back we should go. Maybe 14 years old, 15. Okay. What was growing up like for you?
So I grew up with entrepreneurial parents. My grandfather is Choctaw Indian. He owned a restaurant. My parents owned a restaurant. My mom and dad also owned a construction company. My dad is a veteran. He was in the Air Force, so they had a certified veteran-owned business. They also owned the corner grocery store. My mother was heavily involved in politics, so we were too. So growing up, I wanted to be an attorney. So of course, my dad would always say, what would an attorney do in this situation? Or are you thinking attorney thoughts? And I'm thinking, I'm 14, I don't know, and it's amazing because over my life, I grew up in Illinois. I went to school in California, and I wanted to be an attorney. Of course, I'm a daddy's girl. So whatever my daddy said, I wanted to do. So I wanted to be an attorney. I began my career. I was in litigation management. I'll just jump. And I was practicing so much law, but I wasn't an attorney. I dropped out of law school. I'm like, that's it. I practice more law. I tell attorneys what to do. I'm a fraud investigator by trade.
Wow.
And so later on in life, I started my very first company.
So wait, hold on one second. Let's go back to 14-year-old Cassandra. How did those desires to be an attorney, how did those manifest in school and in growing up during those formative years?
Well, I was raised where your parents asked you, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I wanted to be an attorney. I don't know why. I believe it's because my mother had me involved in everything. I was president of the Junior City Council.
Okay.
President of the Youth Chamber of Commerce. I was involved in president of the business club. I was involved with everything because my mom was involved in everything. And so because I was listening to how laws were made, right? And I wanted to be an attorney. And so I told my dad asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'm like, I want to be an attorney.
So you weren't afraid to speak up, like in class or, in school. You were that person who was not afraid to let her voice be heard. Is that what I?
No, I wasn't, because my parents taught us, you can be whatever it is you want to be. If you work hard for it, you can be whatever you want to be. Now, I'll be honest, I was an introvert.
Okay.
When I got
really?
to college. I know you don't see it now, but in college, I didn't want to talk to people. I didn't want, I wanted to be this feminine little girl because, but I was in a male-dominated industry. And so my voice was never heard because I was a woman.
So how did you get past that?
Well, I think I had I wanted to be a claims adjuster. When I moved to California, I got a job at AAA Insurance, and I wanted to be a claims adjuster. I was a legal secretary, and they kept telling me, no, women are not claims adjusters. You don't know anything about cars. You can't write an estimate on a house. Well, back then, they didn't have classes. And I remember they would tell me, well, if you go find a class, they didn't care what it was, automotive repair. I took a class. And if you pass, we will pay you for it, promote you. You're not going to get the same pay as your male counterparts, and we'll put you back in the same class. And I was furious, right? But I did it because I wanted more money.
Right.
And so I kept doing it, and they teamed me with a trainer, a tall white guy named Tom Curry. I will never forget him. And I couldn't stand him because I got to remember I was 18 years old, and every morning he went to get a scotch and a lap dance. I don't know how that was training me. Okay. But I remember when it was time for me to write my first estimate, and they wouldn't let me. They told me to raise up my skirt, bend over, and I remember running out of the body shop crying. At that time, we had payphones.
Oh my goodness!
Call Tom. And Tom came around the corner on two wheels, and he yelled and screamed at me. And he said, you have to hit them in the pockets. Now he says some other stuff that I'm not going to say there. You're giving us
the cleaned up version.
Yeah, this is the PG version. And so he said, you have to learn how to hit them in the pockets. And he yelled and screamed at him, and he called me gal, and I hated it. And he says, you listen, this is my gal. And if you don't let her write an estimate, and he said, now tow every car out of here. And I just thought that was the best thing. And I would walk in there, and I would slam my hand down on the table on the desk like Tom did. And I would demand that they will let me, write an estimate on these cars. And if they didn't, I would have a tow truck pull them out. And it was just fun. That was like, this is just like another way to fight. And so with that, I guess I cannot be an introvert anymore. It's time to now let my voice be heard. And so throughout my whole career working in corporate America, it was always just a male-dominated industry. You'll never do it. And I had to prove it wrong. So my thesis in college was on the glass ceiling.
So what kind of mindset did you have to have, like going into those types of environments? They're white male dominated. You're the only Black woman, and you have to represent how did you prepare yourself for that mentally, to go into the office every day or to go into that environment every day?
Well, I'll tell you, I had to, you had to be 10 times better than your male counterparts. So it didn't matter that we all went through the same class, male or female. I had to learn more than you. I had to know it. I had to know it by memory. I had to quote it on cue. Why? Because I was a woman in a male dominated industry, and I was a Black woman. So I had to know my craft way better. And I'm gonna tell you, I'll be honest, it had to be God's hand over my life, because even as I transitioned through corporate America, and before, right when I was starting my own business, and I remember by this time I had investigated the Russian Armenian mafia. I was a part of all kind of RICO cases, and I became an expert in my industry. And I remember one of the chiropractors who had trained me, didn't know then, right? Because it was another class I had to take, right? I became a biomechanical engineer, and didn't know then, when we went through the class, we were crash test dummies, Camille. They would stuff claims adjusters in cars and crash them. So that's a true thing.
Wait,
and
live people, like real people?
And I volunteered. Yeah, it was great. It was fun.
Oh my goodness.
I was the only woman, right? They told me I couldn't do it, so of course I wanted to do it. Oh, and they paired us with a chiropractor so we could understand soft tissue injuries. And so I remember, I mean, back then I didn't know then, but later he became the #1 defense expert in the United States. And here it is, I'm training under him.
Wow.
So over the years, didn't know. And so even after I left corporate America and started my own company, he was a huge mentor for me. And even to this day, I just saw him in October, and he still calls me little girl. And I'm like, I don't do insurance anymore, just so you know. But he was very instrumental of me starting my own business. So yeah.
Wow. So you definitely had to know your stuff and not be afraid of that challenge, basically, or else there's no way that you would have been able to overcome, like, just the mentality of like being the only one, because
But I think even as you translate into starting your own business, you have to have that much tenacity. And that is when you're starting your own business, you got to do your research. You got to know your stuff, right? You need to be good, not just good. You need to be great at what you do and love it. You need to love what you do. And so continue, I think learning is continual.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. Did you ever feel like giving up?
Oh, every year.
I'm not doing this anymore. I'm done.
Every year. I mean, but I love what I do. Don't get me wrong. And sometimes, as any entrepreneur will tell you, we quit all the time. Oh, I can't do this anymore.
It's too much.
This is crazy. They're crazy. I'm crazy. We come up with every kind of, and then the next day, right? God gives us a witty idea, and we want to take off running. So now we're rehired again. We rehire ourselves.
Wow. So some of the skills that you've learned over the years up until this point, how were you able to at what point did you actually start your own business?
So in 2000, I started a biomechanical engineer, and we did litigation management. So again, dropped out of law school, but I get to tell attorneys what to do. Isn't this fun? And so that was my very first company. As a matter of fact, that was the company that we bid on. My very first time I bid on a contract. And I was living in California, and we bid on a contract in Texas. And I didn't know anything about the minority program. And we had just saved this. And I'll tell you, when I started my own business in 2000, I didn't market it. I never advertised it. I ended up going to talk to 4 attorneys in LA, Los Angeles. And I said, hey, I'm starting my own company. I can review all your meds. I can give you all kind of help you with your deposition questions and settlement conferences, which was what I was already doing.
Okay.
And before I even made it back home, back then we had fax machines. So my fax machine was out of paper, and I never marketed. I had so much business coming in.
Wow.
And ended up just, one of my employees from the 80s, because you remember I was in management. One of my employees saw me in a grocery store, said that he had been looking for me. He had this contract that he wanted to give to me. And I'm thinking, we're in a grocery store. You started your own business before me, right? And you're doing this well. And he ended up just handing me like a 10-year contract.
Wow.
And so we just kept growing. So an attorney in Dallas heard about us
Mm-hmm.
and asked us to help them on a large case that they had with Neiman Marcus on a
Okay.
slip and fall, and ended up going to Dallas for 2 years. And I'm thinking I should go take the bar in Dallas. Oh my God, I could be a great attorney in Dallas. I'm glad I didn't. But the attorney, the partner of the firm said, "Are you a certified minority or woman-owned business?"
Mm-hmm.
And I got offended because I didn't know what it was. And I
Right.
said, "Dude, we just saved you $4 million. You want to talk to me about race? How dare you?" And he said, "Well, I don't know about that. You did save us a lot of money, but if you are, we're going to put this work out for bid and we would love for you to bid on it." And I just felt so stupid, right? Like, oh my
That
God.
assumption.
And I called my mom and she says, "Yeah," told me all about the program. I ended up going to Washington, D.C. and learning everything. As a matter of fact, I ended up becoming a trainer.
Wow.
And so after we won the contract, well, I'll be honest, we lost the contract.
Mm-hmm.
We bid it, we lost, but the other person couldn't perform, the other company. So we won on default. So they gave us 6 months to move to Texas. And I'm like, I don't want to go to Texas. But when I got to Texas, I thought, I want to help my people. I want to help minorities. I want to help women and veterans. I'm pretty sure they're like me. They didn't know anything about it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's one of the biggest drawbacks when it comes to entrepreneurship and even minorities in general. We just don't know. The ignorance is what's holding us back. We don't know what we don't know, and if we don't know, how can we know unless someone tells us?
Right. And so after we started working the contract, we got fully staffed. I started doing workshops about being certified minority owned. I joined all these chambers and groups. And I ended up winning a contract to teach about being certified in 4 cities. I'm like, yeah, I don't even understand. I'm still learning.
Okay.
And I ended up becoming a lobbyist. I started a chamber. I champion for small business across the United States. So it's amazing now, my journey. When people go, "Well, how do you know about this?" I'm like, I'm being a sponge. I wanted to know everything, and what I didn't know, and still today, what I don't know, I can pick up the phone. I can do research. We have Google.
Yes.
You can gain access. And so that was really what it was all about. In 2006, because we won the contract in 2005, I had moved to Texas. By 2008, I no longer wanted to do anything with my insurance fraud business. I'm like, I want to just go full-fledged in the business development, certification processing.
Yes.
And we did. We ended up winning 2 other contracts to teach business. And the rest has been history. We're in 2021 now, and we have grown, especially during the pandemic. We tripled the business. And we have been working with small businesses across the United States and Puerto Rico. So, yeah.
That is quite a journey because it seems like there's so many moving parts and so many different experiences that you had to go through to even get to where you are. What would you say your biggest takeaway has been? I know you said definitely being a sponge and soaking everything up.
I think building relationships.
Okay.
They transcend across color lines, ethnicity, a culture. Whether you're a veteran, whether you're smart, whether you're not, business is business. We know what we know and we know what we don't know, right? And when we remove those fears of saying, "Hey, I don't know it all. Can you help me?" I think that is so much freedom. That's so much liberation.
You're right. You're so right.
When we have that fear, I don't want anybody to know that I don't know.
You're so right.
If anybody ever follows me on social media, I sit in a heartbeat. There are moments that I'll go to a conference or a workshop. I'm not Dr. Cass. I'm regular Cassandra. I may go in there with a hat on, or I don't know, but I'm there to learn. I'm there to learn. I don't know everything, but I need to learn and stay on top of my craft.
Yes, that's so important because that's one of the reasons why I started this podcast, because I literally don't know much about anything when it comes to entrepreneurship as well as the trucking industry. And so I realized that I needed to build a network of people around me, and preferably women. For me, I felt like initially getting started and trying to figure out who to listen to and who's trying to just get money, and it was really hard to decipher all of that. And so
That's
this
good. I
has
like that.
been like really it's helping me so much, because I know I literally have no idea about any of this
But
stuff.
you made a great point. For us, I have to answer to a higher power. So I cannot just sell you. I have to be honest. So it's just like this morning, I had a conversation with one of my veterans. And I said, listen, in Texas, we're the #2 state for veterans. And if I was you, I wouldn't worry about my certified veteran-owned certification for 2 years. Why? Because you can't bid on a federal contract for 3. So you can pay me to do it right now, but your business just got started. So you're not going to win contracts unless you already have one. So I would suggest we maximize our minority and our other certifications here. They will acknowledge your DD 214, right, for our veterans. And then after that 3rd year, go for the gusto. Now, he said, Cassandra, I respect that, because you could have just charged me to do the veteran certification, and I wouldn't have even been able to use it. I said, well, then what good am I if I can't be honest with you? I expect you to be honest with me. I said, so after that 2nd year, the 3rd year, as you transition to the 3rd year, then put that as part of your plan to get certified veteran. You're in Texas. Texas and California is the #1, #2 states for veterans. After that, sky's the limit for you.
Wow.
And so then I'll teach you how to now leverage that certification. So he said, I respect you more for not just trying to take my money, but trying to educate me as to the why you're not wanting me to do that. I said, you can do it if you want to, but you're not going to gain access to that many contracts. So push your other 2 certification, let them know that you're still a veteran, right? And then after that 3rd year, where the floodgates open for you, then you take off running with it.
And having people like you in your network and around you that you can trust are actually looking out for your best interest and not just for their pockets is really something that is so helpful, because if you don't know, you don't know, like we established. But then when you come across someone that is operating from that level of integrity, you realize, okay, so this person actually has my back. If I have a question, I know she's going to tell me the truth. She's not going to just tell me something that I want to hear, or just go along with what I say I want, even though it's not what I actually need in this moment.
Right. Because I'd rather be honest, because guess what? On the flip side of that, I may be talking to somebody, I don't know anything. I'm talking to you about how to build my house. I don't know what I'm talking about, right? And I want you to have integrity with me and say, you know what, Cassandra, you may not need another stove in the kitchen. You already got one, right? So let's just put a grill top, or let's just do this and maximize this cooktop space. So I'm hoping that I'm giving where I'm expecting to get for myself if the tables were turned. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm not just here to sell you. I'd rather educate you and help you to make a great decision about your business. Exactly. So that's what a consultant does. I'm not going to just say, oh yeah, get all of it. Yeah, pay me all the money and we'll do it. And then you don't need it. Hey, I pay for all this and now I can't use it. So let me be honest with you. You may not need this one. This one you can really maximize, and let me show you why. But if you want all of them, tell me why you need all of them right now.
Or why you think you need all of them.
Or why you think you need them. Because sometimes it's like I was telling the guy today, the client today, he's Cassandra, I walked into a contract because someone else couldn't perform. It was under the $25,000 threshold. So I was able to get it without bidding. I said, oh, now I see. He said, so guess what? The contract is ending in February. And I have to hurry up now and get that certification. I said, dude, yep, we got to get on it then. You're absolutely right. Now, this means you're going to have to bid this time, but at least you'll have that certification to show that you are one of the people that can bid. So now we get it. Yeah, you're going to need it. But at first I was like, no, you don't need that. You just started. He said, yeah, I just started the business. But guess what? I walked into a contract right out the door.
Wow.
Because
So, okay. So you teach people how to get certified so that they can do business with the government.
Yeah, we do it for you though.
It's done for you. Okay.
No, it's too many moving parts, trust me. But if you want to do it on your own, we do have a class on our website that'll teach you how to do it on your own. But for the most part, you're going to end up calling us. You're going to end up paying us more money for consultation.
I see.
It's better to just let us do it for you.
So when it comes to the trucking industry and getting certified, or based on what you've seen, the work that's out there for trucking companies and the benefit of getting certified, how would you say it has affected the industry or has changed the industry in any way?
Well, the pandemic opened the floodgates. I'll tell you that. So in trucking, transportation, freight, whatever you want to call it, supply chain, it has opened up the floodgates. And a lot of Fortune 500 companies like Walmart, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, 7-Eleven, I can keep going. They're going to require you to have at least a DBE, a disadvantaged business certification.
Okay.
Anyone in trucking and transportation, you have to have a DBE because it's issued by the Department of Transportation. So Department of Transportation talks to FMCSA, right? So that means that they're going to require you to have a DBE. But most of our Fortune 500 companies, even if you have a dump truck, because now we got the infrastructure bill, right? So if you can move dirt, you can move aggregate. You guys are hot right now. And so having your disadvantaged business, and that's in every state, or your minority certification will open up so many doors, because even if you are brand new, right, your business, even though you just started your business last week, you can always get business as a subcontractor, because guess what? Every general contractor is going to require their subcontractors to be certified. That's how they win those bids. And so now you're walking in, even as a subcontractor, you go, oh my God, I only have one truck, one dump truck. But man, if I had 5, I could be the prime on this one next time, right?
Yes.
Now you're seeing, okay, this one dump truck is good, but now I can, and you work your way up to it. Don't just run out there and 5 dump trucks and you don't know how to manage
one. Definitely taking it one step at a time and building that way.
I'll tell you, construction, if you got a dump truck right now, sky's the limits. There is not, if you're not working right now and you have a dump truck, you don't even have to tell me why. I already know.
Wow. So right now, dump trucks and trucks that deal with basically hauling dirt or
hauling anything.
So what about the semis, the 18-wheelers? There's also a lot of work for them.
Oh my God. Not just, so you think of Pepsi is hot right now. Nebraska Furniture, which is owned by Warren Buffett, right? BNSF Railway owned by Warren Buffett, right? Of course, he's getting a kickback. All of that. Everything is being moved. Look at what's happening at our ports. Things are just sitting, right? Even if you can't drive a truck, can you move a forklift? Anything to help the supply chain move forward. It is high. If you're a freight broker, if you're a dispatcher, most every freight broker or dispatcher I know is overwhelmed right now because they have not been able to simplify their process.
Right.
That's the number one reason, not anything else. But they have to be certified, and they are getting Procter & Gamble. You have to be certified. They're giving out more contracts to minority-owned businesses like I've never seen before. It's almost like they've tripled. Toyota, you can move vehicles.
Okay, so how can people tap in? So people that are listening most likely are in the trucking industry or are looking to get into the trucking industry. How can a small business tap into this money that's out there, these contracts that are out there? Give me 3 steps. What's the first, if you can, first, 3 simple steps that a business can do to start in the direction of being able to get some of this money on the table?
First, be a legal business. You must be at least 51% owner. of the business. If you're a minority or a woman or a veteran, you must own the business at least 51% at least. And then you must operate the business at least 51% of the time. You can still work another job, but we just have to prove that you still work for yourself at least 51% of the time.
So how do you prove that?
By your resume.
Okay.
You can also prove it on your tax returns, right? If you're still working, if you have a K1, Schedule C, if you have a K1, it tells them that your percentage of ownership. But we're just going to prove that you work for yourself.
Okay.
And you need to also just put yourself in a position. This is the best time to start teaming. While we're working on your applications for certification, start finding other owner operators that are also certified minority. I'm going to tell you why. Because when you get ready to bid on a contract, you may say, I can do the scope of work. We can move that from point A to point B, right? But it may take 15 trucks. Do you have access to owner operators that have, so maybe this one has 2, maybe this one has 5, maybe this one has 8. And are they also certified? Because in order to win a contract, it'll tell you have to get to 100% on your scorecard. So they say you can do the scope of work. You look at scope of work, you can do it. Good. Do you have the insurance requirements? Right? That's a big thing. The next thing you're going to look at, it tells you how to win. It may say you and your key personnel is 60% of the contract of the award, of how to get awarded. That's 60%. That means if you and all of your subcontractors, right, everybody you're teaming with or subbing with are also certified, that's 60%. So you got to prove that by submitting their certifications. The other 20% could be, do you carry the insurance? For most owner operators, you're carrying some insurance and you're insuring the cargo, so you can do that.
Yes.
So now you're at 80%. The last 20% could just be your bid.
Okay.
So we lose contracts because, well, number one, we don't bid. Number two, maybe it's because the people that you're subbing with or teaming with are not certified. So it's amazing. I'll get calls every day. Hey, Cassandra, we should bid on this because I know you're a certified minority woman-owned business. Okay, tell me what it is. Okay, so send me my portion of that RFP so I can read it, so I can tell you what my bid would be. So that person's going to put my bid together, their bid together, right? Submit it. Now I'm getting work as a sub or on a team, because I believe in a little piece of the pie is better than no pie at all.
Yes, that's true.
Then next time, maybe I'll put myself in a better position, and maybe I'll go in as the prime next time. But our businesses are still moving and growing.
So the first thing that people need to do is to have a business, have a legal business. So like an LLC or an S Corp or a C Corp. The second thing would be to get the certification or to look for partners.
No, start the certification process. Trust me, you're not going to get it overnight. It all depends on the state. It can take anywhere from 30 days to 120 days. Okay. So you have 30 to 120 days to start making friends.
Okay. So start the business, start the certification process, and then start looking. And then what was the third one?
You're vetting, started getting people to be on your team. You're going to vet
building the team.
So if let's say that I'm a construction worker. Well, let's say trucking, we're in trucking. So now I'm going to look for other owner operators, right? I'm going to make sure they have insurance. I'm going to make sure that they are also certified. I'm going to make sure they have a capability statement, right? So, and then I'm going to start checking on their references. Hey, tell me about this company and tell me what you liked about them. Tell me, blah, blah, blah. And so now I'm vetting them. So in the event that I start bidding on contracts where I only have one truck, but most contracts are going to require at least 3. Yeah. Now I have established relationships with someone else. Says, hey, can we team together to go after this contract? I'm pretty sure they're going to say yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So building that network.
You're building your network, build relationships, call those references. I would. So if an opportunity comes, you don't have to go, well, where am I going to find the drivers?
Yeah.
Or where am I going to find you've already done it. That's how we met. We were met at an event. Start going to these events, to learn. Take a notepad, a pocket full of business cards. Set aside some time where you can sit and have coffee or drink water or something.
Yes.
Hey, tell me what you do and how did you get started and how many trucks do you have and where are you located and how far do you go? Now you're establishing a relationship.
Yes. And that builds your confidence. That helps to build your confidence to be able to put in the bid or to go for it rather than not. Because at least now you're not just by yourself feeling like, okay, they require 3 trucks. I only have 1. But if you have 2 other people that also have trucks or more than 1 truck, now you're able to really go in with more confidence because of what you know and the network that you built.
There you go.
Super duper important. What would you say has been your biggest challenge that you had to overcome? You could either talk about you could probably talk about both, because I'm thinking about your biggest challenge or your most difficult client that you've had or difficult situation that you had to deal with.
A lot of folks think when we send them the checklist that we're just going to create these documents for you. We can't. And in most states, when you file for your LLC, your articles is included in your application. But you still have to have if you're an LLC, you still have to have an operating agreement. Okay. You still have to have minutes for every year you've been in existence. And even if you filed in November, let's say you created your LLC in November, and then next year your 2021 taxes are due. And you say, well, I didn't do anything in 2021. You still have to file taxes. And I'll tell you this, 9 times out of 10, it all depends on your state, it all depends on how you're structured. You'll probably get that initial investment back. The money you paid for the LLC, you'll probably get that back. Right. But because you don't file your tax returns, now it's a penalty. So the next 2 years when you do file, you have to pay a penalty for not filing that first year. I'm not a CPA or a tax preparer, but I'm pretty sure if there's some that's listening, they're probably going, amen, sister, because they do it all the time. So just because you didn't make any money, you still had expenses.
Yes. So when you say file your taxes, are you talking about at the end of the year, like how tax time is about to come up? Or are you talking about like the quarterly taxes or both?
All of them. So for LLC or C Corp, S Corp, our taxes are not due until March, April of the next year. Okay. Right. But we're thinking, well, nothing happened in 2021 because I didn't do anything with the business. Right. That's what we hear all the time. And so it doesn't matter whether you did do something. You paid money for an LLC.
You paid money for an LLC, you paid money for training. There's so many different things. Yeah.
Those receipts are now a tax write-off. So you can probably get most of that money, if not all, get it all back. It's an expense. Yeah. But you didn't save the receipt. You didn't file your taxes. So then in 2022, right, when it's time to file 2021 tax, so it becomes this mess where we're thinking, because I didn't make any money, it doesn't matter, you still have to file. And it all depends on the state. Your quarterly taxes, you have to let them know, were there any changes to the business, right? Okay. You have to, so you say, well, I didn't make any money. Well, file the form. Right. Let them know, because guess what? Our state agencies do talk.
Right. Okay. It just seems so, I feel like, especially I think for newer entrepreneurs who we're used to getting a W-2 and like everything is already kind of done for you. But in the entrepreneurship space, it kind of all just seems like a different language, and we have no idea about
Camille, we have to. I use my calendar. Look, I've been in business since 2020, right? I mean, since 2000. And every year in Texas, I know that I don't have to pay state tax. I don't have to pay sales tax because I'm a service. But I have to complete a form called a no tax form and a no change form. So it's due by March. If not, the penalty goes from $50 to $500. Either one of them I don't want to pay. So I tell my calendar to go off every day from January 1 to March 15th. To get that form. And I've been doing it that way for years. Not that I forget, because I know it's due. I just don't want to do it to the last minute, right? Get it done. As we all. But you're not alone. I don't want to incur a penalty, and I don't want to pay a fine. So I wait for my taxes to get done, because it asks you how much did you claim on your federal taxes. This is how much I claimed. I don't charge sales tax. There was no changes in my business if it wasn't. I can do all this stuff electronically. I print a copy for my records because I still don't trust the government. Just in case they said, we didn't get it.
Actually, on X date, at X time.
I print a PDF, I keep a copy, and look, I keep it in 2 separate places. And so I'll keep it with the tax return itself, then I'll keep it in another file. So if I ever get called on the carpet, no, I did it online. Maybe you guys had a glitch in your system, but let me just send you a copy of what I did.
Okay. So what are 3 people a new entrepreneur would need to have, like, in order to help them get to, in order to be in compliance with just the basic entrepreneurial things that they would need to have? Well,
make sure that you're rightly structured. Okay. Make sure, stop telling everybody you're the president, CEO of in an LLC. You're not a president or a CEO. You're a manager or a member. But now you got your titles all wrong. And as a women, we don't care because we know we're doing it all. But for most men, you like to tell everybody you're the president, CEO, you're the boss. You're not. It tells people like me who to sue. I don't do the research. But you also need to make sure that you're building relationships. You need to go out, network. We start business and we stay in our own little cubbyhole. We work from home, we stay at home. If we have an office, we don't want to go out and talk to people because I don't understand when people say, I don't like people. I'm confused because we need those people to buy our stuff.
Yes.
So you need to,
the money that we want to earn is in those other people's pockets.
There you go. And so you got to go out and build relationships. Get in mastermind groups if you don't know. And I know that we're still semi in the pandemic or not, if we don't know, but you need to get in mastermind groups. And I do them every month. You have no idea how many people, when you get so many experts in the room to help people who are maybe seed business, because seed and new entrepreneurs are 2 different things. Literally. But you need to know where you are. And don't be afraid. I remember when I first started getting into mastermind, I was the problem kid. I'm the one, help me. They said, we helped you last week. Well, I got another responsibility.
I need some more help.
And so, but then I'm listening to what they're telling another entrepreneur and I'm writing this stuff down. And every year I get a book that I can keep in my purse where I keep all my notes from that year. Right. And, I went to Grant Cardone. So I got his 10X book. It's sitting right here on my desk at the office. And so that's my book for 2021, 2022. And I write all my notes or whatever meetings I go to, who I'm talking to on the phone. Never know. Some good nuggets can be dropped.
That's so true.
I keep everything in my little book for the year. And so now I can go back to that. And I know you guys are a younger age than I am, so you can probably put it in your phone. But what happens if something happens to the phone?
And things do happen to the phone. More than once.
So you just want to make sure that you are not the smartest person in your group.
So getting in the right environment is important. That's definitely something that I
get collaborative partnerships, people that can call you on the carpet and you don't get upset. I still have them to this very day. I mean, I'm bidding on contracts in other states. And so I have a team that's helping me and working with me. And one of them said, I was at a city council meeting yesterday and I go, why were you there for 4 hours? You're crazy. And so we got to talking about some of the things, but we found out another way to gain access to some more money. So, but they call me on the, no, Cass, don't do that. Let me tell you why this, and here's some statistical data. Or, oh my God, this is what I'm trying out. I have one of my collaborative partners say, hey, I'm trying out this new CRM. I'm like, oh, I got one. I don't need that. He says, I'm only paying this amount a month. I'm like, hold on. And it includes all of this other programs. He said, yeah. I said, well, wait a minute. Separately, I'm paying an additional $85 a month. If I got your CRM, I could save $85 a month.
That's a game changer. When you add that up over the year, that's...
And I said, can you send me a link or something? I can go check them out on YouTube or something before I, he said, oh, they'll send you a demo. I said, yeah, send me the YouTube link first. I'm going to look at that. I'll register for them to give me a demo based on needs assessment. And I'm getting ready. Then I'm thinking, what am I going to do with this extra $80 a month? Man, I can,
But you know what? that was one conversation with one person about one thing that saved you $85 per month.
Yeah.
It just doesn't get any better than that when it comes to when we're talking about partnerships and building relationship, because and being in the right environment, because if you weren't in that environment, then you would not have seen that person to have that conversation to make that change in your business. So it's so important, the environment and like talking to people and really getting out there. And I know a lot of people, from what I've heard, it could be scary because I've experienced it too. When you get into these new places and spaces, gearing up the courage within yourself to open your mouth to say something or to introduce yourself could be a little bit challenging.
So this is what I think.
How do you deal with that?
I remember being in corporate America where, I could, as a woman, as a Black woman, you had to do things 10 times better. I remember never calling in sick for 7 years, never took vacation.
Wow.
Right. And I remember I went to my boss and I said, hey, I think that I'm qualified to be promoted to do X, Y, Z. He said, no, you're not. And I said, well, why? He said, because I said so. I'm like, dude, I'm this and I do this and I'm here and I give 100% and I volunteer on different committees and I have this and I have that. And so even in business, even now I have my own business, I am that much more tenacious. I need to know everything.
Yes.
If I got to go and pay for it, I may not have the money right now, right? Let me figure out now I got an extra $60, $80 a month I can save. Well, how much was that? Can you give me 6 months when I get out my little money? Right. What else can I save money on that I'm just spending money on, right? Or maybe so there's so many ways talking to other people. It's just like my phone system. I've had it since 2000.
Wow.
And people go, oh, I tried to text you. I'm like, I don't give out my cell phone. I pay for phones. I pay for phones. And I'm able to carry that number every time my office moves and grows. But and that was a conversation that I had with somebody in 2000 where I'm like, oh my God, now I have a staff. We need different extensions and these phones are so expensive. And I go, buy your own phone. I'm like, oh God, how much is that going to cost me? And the guy said, Cassandra, I'm going to show you where you can go wholesale, get the phone, stop your belly aching. And it's been just great for us. So even that, it's really just about not being afraid to say, hey, I don't have a lot of money to pay for a phone system. I'm paying for salaries and payroll. I can't squeeze another drop out of this limit. Oh, girl, please. Let me just tell you where you can go.
Right.
And you're going to save this. And so it's just not being afraid of just saying, I don't know. I don't have that.
It frees you, like you said.
That right now. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Saying I don't know something, or admitting that, or just having the humility, I feel, to admit that you don't know something is super important. And then also having a strong belief that you are worthy of this opportunity. Like, yes, you can do this. You might not have all the pieces of the puzzle together, but you have enough to take this one step, And I think that as women, we definitely do second guess ourselves a lot, and we allow certain limiting beliefs to hinder us from where we're really supposed to be going. And I think that letting go of those, or at least working to let go, even if it's one at a time or a little bit at a time, like working through those to really see, well, why am I afraid to say something to someone, because you geared up all that courage to go to your boss and ask for something. And he told you straight up, no. But then you also had the belief and the courage within yourself to say, to talk, to present your case, to say, well, I'm X, this is what I do, and here's the value that I bring. And so you already knew the value that you had. And I think that's something that a lot of women, especially starting out, might be lacking in. So how can so if there's a woman that's listening to this podcast right now, and she wants to start her own business, she wants to step out, maybe all her life she's heard, you can't do that, or you're not, because we hear so many lies as we grow up, and so how can someone get past that limiting belief, those limiting beliefs, to actually take the step that they need?
I would tell you who gave you the vision for it. Because I don't give vision. Only God gives vision.
That's a fact.
But go back to whoever gave you the vision and say, I don't know what I'm doing. But then I will always tell you, get with a coach. I'm a mentor. I'm not a coach, so know the difference. Get with someone who's designated to promote you and encourage you to get to the finish line. If that coach or mentor has never run a successful business, you got to do your research, call their references, and just say, hey, what is it that you do? How can you help me? I don't know anything, right? Because guess what? I'm bidding on a multi-billion-dollar project. So that means I had to hire somebody to help me get my documentation. Now, all these years I've been on a contract, these are huge. So I had to go and hey, I need help. I can't do a 10-year projected budget. I can barely do 1 year. And what does that look like? And I have to have all of this statistical data. Where do I get it from? I don't know. Can I pay you to do it? I don't know. And so get with someone that's going to get you to point B. You're at point A. So can I tell you a quick story? I remember when I wanted to automate and have all these digital, before all these online courses became popular. And I remember a good friend of mine in Atlanta kept telling me, I said, you need to automate yourself, Doc. And I said, I just can't. What I do is so specialized. And so I remember I paid $10,000. I took this course on how to create courses, and it bombed. I'm telling you, I didn't make a dime.
Wow.
And so I'm like, okay. My husband's like, we spent all this money and you did what? And so I ended up calling that friend in Atlanta. And I said, I don't know what I've done wrong. And he was trying to tell me what to do. I said, dude, I'm going to fly to Atlanta. He says, well, I'll be in town for 1 day and then I'm going off to Singapore. And I flew to Atlanta. I said, we're going to push these buttons at the same time. I'm older, so this technology stuff is not working. And I'll tell you what he said. He said, I'm so glad that you spent that money with them. Now I paid him some money. He said, I'm so glad you spent that money with them because now you know the long way. Like longhand math. Remember longhand math?
Yes.
He said, so if systems break down, you know how to do it the long way, right? And I tell you, I was there for maybe 4 hours. I did $10,000 just so I made my money back, just like that.
Okay.
Oh my God. Now, of course, I didn't factor in the airfare and the hotel, and I had to eat some chicken while I was there. But I said, oh my God, now I can just start creating all my courses the same way, doing the exact same model that he taught me. But isn't it great that I had somebody that I can call and that I didn't mind being transparent? Yeah,
absolutely. Wow. You have given us so much value today, dropped so many gems. Before you go, can you just leave a word with us? Like, what would you say is one thing, like if you could say one thing that has been a game changer for you, that you would say, you know what, do this and you can't go wrong, what would it be?
Every morning I look at my calendar and I pray for my clients.
Wow.
I look at my calendar. I'm like, I have a meeting with Tanisha. I have a meeting with Karen. I have a meeting with James. Lord, bless James. Bless his family. I don't know him, but and I pray for my clients. Why? Because when they call me, they have to pay me for my service. So the Bible says that God gives you the ability to get wealth, and that wealth will come through your hands. What that means is that you will work to get the wealth that comes through your hands. So I'm like, God, I am willing to work for my wealth. But these people that you're bringing to me, they have to have the money and the finances to pay me. So bless their finances. Yes. Bless their homes, bless their decision making, right?
Yes.
Lord, bless them. So when they do call me, they have the ability to pay me. So the wealth would come into my hands. Help me to be a good steward over what you have entrusted me to do. Now, Lord, bless Karen. I don't know Karen, but it sounds like Karen could be a mom or a wife. Lord, bless her husband. Bless her kids. Help her kids to do good in school. Let her not stress over the kids in their school. I don't know these people, but this is what I do every morning. And so
Wow.
when they come to me and when I say, this is my fee, they're not shocked. Because so no one go, oh my God, I can't pay that right now. Well, when you get your money, call me. I'll be right here. I've been in business 21 years. I'm not going nowhere.
Wow.
But I'm praying for them. And I believe that if you prayed for your clients, you'll see a total trajectory change in your business.
Oh my God, that gave me goosebumps because wow. That we couldn't even end it any better than that. I have nothing to say.
I'm talking bad about them. Start praying for them.
Yeah. Dr. Cassandra, thank you so much. Thank you so much for this time. Thank you so much for all the gems that you dropped. If someone wanted to work with you, or if they wanted to find out, how can people get in touch with you?
They could go onto the website, is genesispreferred.com. Genesis, like the first book of the Bible, preferred, like they preferred you, Preferred. Genesispreferred.com. You can call our office, 1-800-718-2425. I have a team of people that work here, so it's not just me here by myself that will answer the phone. They'll get you on my calendar, right, to give you an opportunity to talk to me so we can figure out where you are in your business, what you need, what you don't need.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Cassandra Bradford, everyone. This has been amazing. I am just glowing right now, and I'm really grateful for you. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you so much for serving the community and small businesses the way you do. Your services are really needed, and you're just a great light, and I'm really grateful for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Camille. I had a great time.
Yes, thank you so much. So, everyone, thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Lady Trucking CEO podcast with Dr. Cassandra Bradford. Have a wonderful rest of the day. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.
Take care.